In the early 9th century, when the year 828 weighed heavily upon Christendom, St. Mark's earthly remains vanished into uncertainty. His body, once resting in Alexandria, became a whispered secret, carried by faithful hands through fear, salt air, and unrecorded nights. Venetian merchants moved with trembling purpose, knowing they bore more than relics. They carried apostolic witness itself. St. Mark, evangelist and martyr, was no longer protected by stone walls, but by courage, silence, and trust that God guides what human strength cannot defend. As the relics crossed hostile lands and uncertain waters, danger surrounded every step. Muslim patrols, watchful ports, and sudden inspections threatened exposure. Yet time after time, paths opened unexpectedly, as if unseen authority restrained discovery and bent events toward divine intention. Venice received St. Mark not with public triumph, but guarded restraint. His presence remained concealed, hidden from enemies and even from many believers. The city sensed holiness nearby, yet did not see it, living with a sacred absence that tested patience and reverence alike. Years passed. Builders raised stones for a great basilica worthy of an apostle. Columns climbed skyward, marble settled into place, and prayers echoed daily. Yet St. Mark's body seemed lost, as though heaven itself delayed revelation for a moment, yet unseen. Doubt quietly crept among clergy and laborers. Had the relics been misplaced, stolen, or destroyed? The city labored beneath unanswered questions. Still, construction continued, driven by faith that God's purposes unfold neither hurriedly nor according to human certainty. On an ordinary working day, tools struck stone within the basilica's rising structure. A column was opened, not by expectation, but necessity. What followed was not chaos, but stillness, as history held its breath at the threshold of disclosure. Within that hollow pillar lay St. Mark's body, intact and unmistakable. No decay shouted for attention. No spectacle demanded belief. The revelation arrived quietly, as though God preferred recognition over astonishment, certainty over noise, and obedience over amazement. Those present understood immediately that this was not chance. The hiding place itself testified. Stone had guarded flesh. Time had obeyed command. St. Mark had not been lost. He had been kept, awaiting the precise hour appointed by divine authority. Venice stood transformed, not by discovery alone, but by realization. God had revealed his apostle from within the very structure raised in faith. What was concealed was now confirmed, preparing hearts for a miracle that would forever bind St. Mark to the city. When the column opened, no dramatic cry followed. Instead, silence fell across the basilica like a command. Workers froze, clergy drew closer, and the air itself seemed disciplined, as though heaven required stillness before allowing mortal eyes to witness what God had preserved. St. Mark's body rested within the stone as if placed moments before, untouched by rot or time. Flesh obeyed a higher law. In that instant, Venice understood that this was not recovery, but revelation, measured and deliberate, governed entirely by divine authority. No hand could explain how the apostle had remained hidden so precisely. The column itself became testimony. Stone had sealed obedience. Years had passed without decay. This was not concealment by men, but protection enforced by God until the appointed hour arrived. Clergy knelt without instruction. Builders lowered their tools. Even hardened laborers sensed something beyond history unfolding. The miracle required no voice, no sign in the sky. The body of St. Mark, revealed intact, carried authority stronger than proclamation or argument. News spread through Venice, not as rumor, but as confirmation. Bells rang cautiously, not in frenzy. The city responded with reverence rather than celebration. God had intervened without spectacle, reminding all that true power often arrives wrapped in restraint. The location itself intensified the miracle. St. Mark emerged from the very bones of the Basilica built for him. Faith had constructed stone. God answered by returning flesh. Architecture and miracle aligned, revealing a harmony no human planning could orchestrate. Church authorities examined the remains with sober precision. Nothing contradicted authenticity. Everything confirmed purpose. This was not myth forming an emotion, but a miracle standing under scrutiny. Divine intervention proved itself through order, coherence, and the absence of human manipulation. For Venice, the moment redefined identity. The city was no longer merely guardian of relics. It had become chosen ground. St. Mark had not simply arrived. He had revealed himself, sealing a covenant between apostle, people, and divine will. Time bowed quietly to the event. The past of concealment and the future of devotion converged in one opened column. God demonstrated mastery over loss and delay, teaching that what seems absent may only be waiting, untouched, beyond human impatience. This miracle did not shout. It settled, its weight pressed into memory, stone, and soul alike. St. Mark stood confirmed not by legend, but by God's measured intervention, preparing Venice for a spiritual legacy that would echo far beyond that day. When St. Mark emerged from stone, Venice did not merely gain a relic, it gained a living memory. The miracle reshaped prayer, procession, and purpose, teaching generations that God reveals holiness not through haste, but through patient faith and obedient waiting. Pilgrims began to arrive not seeking spectacle, but reassurance. Before St. Mark's resting place, hearts slowed. The miracle continued quietly, forming courage, loyalty, and identity, as Venice learned that divine presence anchors a people beyond politics, trade, or power alone and ambition. Church memory preserved the event with care, recording not drama, but precision. St. Mark's return from concealment shaped theology itself, affirming that God governs time, hides purposefully, and reveals truth only when hearts are prepared to receive authority in reverent silence. Centuries later, the column remains more than architecture. It stands as witness. Stone once obeyed heaven, sheltering an apostle until command was given. The miracle still speaks, reminding believers that God secures what he intends to reveal to the faithful world. For the faithful, St. Mark's miracle offers more than history. It offers assurance. What God conceals is never forgotten. What seems lost is guarded. And what waits in silence will emerge exactly where faith has already prepared a place for divine purpose. Venice did not choose St. Mark alone. It was chosen. The miracle established guardianship, not ownership. The city learned humility before gift, understanding that holiness cannot be claimed, only received, stewarded carefully, and honored through obedience across generations of faithful service. In this legacy, believers hear a quiet command: trust timing. St. Mark's hidden years proclaim that delay is not absence. God works beneath stone in silence, shaping outcomes unseen, until revelation arrives with calm authority and unshakable truth for all generations. The miracle's power endures because it resists exaggeration. It remains disciplined, factual, and reverent. St. Mark's body did not appear to entertain belief, but to confirm it, anchoring faith in history rather than imagination or uncontrolled emotion and fleeting excitement. From that opened column, a lesson flows across centuries. God does not misplace his servants. He hides them when necessary, reveals them when purposeful, and seals their witness within time itself. Immune to decay, doubt, or forgetting by human history. Standing before St. Mark's legacy, the soul responds without instruction. Reverence rises naturally. The miracle asks for no applause, only recognition. God intervened, God preserved, God revealed, and in that quiet certainty, the faithful answer together. Amen with humbled hearts and awe.